Hello, Virgo rising. It's your September forecast. Are you excited? All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. 'Cause I'm trying to actually be brief with these, but it's not brief at all. Mars enters Libra. It entered Libra on the Sunday, the 27th. That is going to be your second house of finances. So that's going to become a theme for you, at least for the next month and a half or two. Mars is action, it's motivation, but it's also frustration. So just keep that in mind. And I will talk about when the moon activates that this month. So the full moon in Pisces today is in your seventh house of relationships and the work that you're putting into that. Okay. Could be obstacles there, could be a little rough go of it. Maybe you're working with your partner, or maybe you have people that you work with that the interpersonal relationships have been rough, or whatever the case may be. Mercury retrograde is in your first house of self and identity, and so there is a rethinking there. It's like, what can I do to change this situation? Because maybe over this past weekend with the sun opposite Saturn, it was just really hard. A lot of work went into that, and you're seeing what maybe the weak points are, and Mercury retrograde is going to help you find that. It may have a lot to do with you and yourself and who you are. And this is not like blaming you at all, but this is like, what can I do to change the situation, rather than what can I do to change the other person, if that makes sense. And then now we got Friday, the moon's in Aries. That's going to be your eighth house of debts, shared resources, inheritance, and boundaries, and empowerment or disempowerment. It's going to oppose Mars on Friday. That could be a little bit of a frustrating moment, especially with where money's concerned. Just FYI, it'll be brief. Venus direct on the 3rd. Now that is in your 12th house of retreat, reflection, just not want to do anything. And you probably haven't for the last month. You probably, not that you haven't done anything, but that you have not wanted to do anything, but focus on your heart's desires. That's your spiritual thing right now that you want to be doing. Okay. Venus goes direct there, and maybe you've been recharged enough to move forward with things, because Jupiter and Uranus are in your ninth house of truth, adventure, philosophy, higher education, adventure, and your values are changing around what moments you need to take for yourself and what moments you need to pour into expanding your reality instead of just waiting around for it to come to you. I think Venus direct is going to be a moment when that comes up. The 4th, September 4th, is Mercury retrograde in your first house of self, trine Jupiter in your ninth house of truth and philosophy. So this is like, okay, I think I see a way forward, and I need to just change my philosophy about something, and I can rework how I do things or how I present myself to people. Okay. That's going to pretty much be active all week. The Mercury Cazimi, that's the 6th, that's in your first house of self, trine Jupiter in your ninth house of truth, adventure, philosophy. And then the 8th, the 7th and 8th, really, the sun trines Jupiter in those same areas. The 8th specifically, though, the moon squares Mars. That's not so fun. The moon's going to be in Cancer in your 11th house of networking, goals, and the future. And it's going to square Mars in your second house of finances. So it's like, I really need to do all this stuff and like go out and hang out with people and network, but my money, I got to think about my money. So that can be a little frustrating on the 8th. The 10th, 11th, and 12th, the moon's in Leo in your 12th house of retreat and reflection. Maybe a last ditch moment where you just need to take a break, okay? Or need to get in touch with something spiritual, or what your true goals in life are, not based on the outside world, but based on what you spiritually want, your inner desires. Now, the 14th is the new moon in Virgo. That's you. Virgo is you, your identity, yourself, autonomy, your authenticity, how you present yourself to people, your identity. That's where you're planting seeds on the 14th. Luckily, Mercury is direct in the same sign, in the same house, in the same area, so things can start to move forward. But even better, that new moon's trine Uranus, which is supportive. Uranus is in your ninth house of adventure, long distance trips, philosophy, truth. There is a change coming from that area. So your philosophy is changing, which is going to result in a change in your identity and who you are and what you put into it, okay? The 15th and 16th, the moon's in Libra, your second house of finances. The moon's going to meet up with Mars. You may be motivated to make money somehow, or to do something about that. The 17th, Venus squares Jupiter. Venus in your 12th house is no longer retrograde. 12th house is spirituality, retreat, and reflection. Square Jupiter in your 9th house of philosophy. So the way that the juxtaposition of this comes out is, I've always believed this to be true, but I'm finding out that my spirit's telling me something different. And so those two things are adjusting around each other. Now, the 19th, the sun opposes Neptune. This is first, 7th house. This is myself and relationships. That can be a little, well, it can be magical or it can be confusing on the 19th. Either way, it's more of a time to kind of surrender, okay? The 20th and 21st can also be a little heightened with emotions because the moon will square Mercury. It'll square the sun. It's the first quarter square of the moon, which is a tension, a flashpoint, really. So the 20th is really the biggest one of those. The 23rd, the moon in Capricorn, which is your 5th house of inner child creativity and romance, will square Mars in your 2nd house of finances. So the 23rd, something might come up where you don't want to spend money, but you do want to have fun. Those two things have to kind of have that tension. The sun also enters Libra in your 2nd house of finances, and that's going to be a theme all month. So your mind's going to be on it for sure. Moon in Aquarius, the 24th and 25th, that is your 6th house of everyday life and work and health, and that could be a theme. The 26th to 27th, the moon's in Pisces, relationships become a theme. The 28th, Venus squares Uranus. Venus is in your 12th house of spirituality, retreat, and reflection, maybe just wanting to let go. But Uranus is in your 9th house of philosophy. Something's changing. Your philosophical way of being is changing right now, and this Venus retrograde is what's exposing it. So that's definitely big on the 28th. And then the 29th is the full moon in Aries, which is your 8th house of investments, share resources. And it's like, how can I invest my time and my energy in order to get more out of life, especially money? All right. Well, that does it for September. I'll be back in October when we're going to have 2 eclipses in October. It's going to be a big month. So I'll catch you on the flip side, but ecstaticastrology.com if you need a session. And if you have questions about this, just leave a comment. All right. Catch you then.